welcome to Masterpiece Theatre. I am your host, Julianne Lichty Stratton, except only this is not Masterpiece Theatre, this is Acting from All Angles. Hi everybody, how are you guys doing today? Hello, welcome to Acting from All Angles, hosted by Actors in Action. We're gonna look at our little wheel here, and we're gonna talk about what we're gonna be talking about today. The ABCDEFs of acting. Today we are on C, craft, the craft of acting. Ashley is here. Hey there, Ashley, how are you doing? Okay, we're gonna talk about memorization, and for the people in my class, they already know all this stuff because they're all really good at it, and they know a lot of the techniques that I've taught them already. Actually, we're all work in progress. But first, I have to properly introduce myself. Sorry about that. I am Julianne Lichty Stratton. I am the creator of Actors in Action, professional actor training. And, oh, Rochelle's here too. Hey, Rochelle. Good to see you. And Catherine, hi. Anyway, I have developed a technique of acting that helps to streamline the acting process for the actor. And it's this fabulous technique that helps them have their own process and be completely confident. And Brooklyn is here. This makes being school bearable. Oh, Brooklyn, naughty Brooklyn is watching this at school. Good for you, Brooklyn. So that's what we do. We help actors train and become fantastic and have their own process so they completely feel confident about doing their acting work. So, but today we are going to talk about memorization. And I have 4 different techniques that I'm going to talk to you about. There's lots of techniques for acting training. Of course, I mean for meditation. There's lots of trainings for meditation too, and acting training, but we're talking about memorization today, so don't get me off subject. All right, the first one we're going to talk about is called the 8-point system. A handy dandy handout right here. Now, do not fret because I have this handout on my website and I'm going to give you a link at the end here. So this is how to memorize with using the 8-point system. If you look down here, it's got this lovely face and it's got arrows pointing 8 different directions. So this is a neurolinguistic technique. And what you can do is you're going to take the first line of text, like Mary Had a Little Lamb, and you're going to, first of all, take those images and let them make sense to you. This is what I do for most of my techniques for memorization. You want to take that first line for the line you're working on, and you want to have it make sense to you. So Mary had a little lamb. So you're going to think about Mary. Who do you know? Do you know a Mary? Do you know, can you imagine Mary? And then had, that word, what does that mean? It means holding something or possessing something. Mary had as a little word, means something that's little, a little lamb. And then you can picture this beautiful fluffy lamb. So you have sort of this connection inside that you're making. And some of these techniques don't work so great unless you can do these techniques, these connections. Oh, Barrett just joined us. Hey, Barrett, we're talking about memorization. Giving some love. Awesome. Okay, so you're going to take your first line and you've made it, let it make sense to you. Now you're going to take your eyes. This is an eye movement thing. Like I said, it's neurolinguistic, so it uses different parts of your brain. So you're going to look up to the left and you're going to say the line 3 times, sorry. Mary had a little lamb, Mary had a little lamb, Mary had a little lamb. Then you're going to look straight up and do the same thing 3 times. Then you go all the way around the clock. For some reason, that tends to put it into different parts of your brain, and so you can memorize it better. So then once you have that line, Mary had a little lamb, you're going to go on to the next one, whose fleece was white as snow. You're going to do the same thing. You're going to break down those images, let it make sense to you emotionally, and then you're going to do the eye movement with that as well. Okay? All right, once you get it down really, really well, with all of these techniques, once you get down the lines really well, you want to physicalize it. You want to go throw a ball, toss a ball to yourself or bounce a ball, do the dishes, do something physical. You can go for a walk because that really gets it into your body. All right, memorization technique number 2. This is what I call the initial path, how to memorize initial path. So what you're going to do is you're going to take, I'll get this really close. So you're going to take a line of text, to be or not to be, that is a question. Again, you're going to let each word individually make sense to you on an emotional level deep inside. Then you're going to go and you're going to write down all of the initials for each word. See how I've done that there? So then you're going to say that, to be or not to be, that is a question, looking at those initials like 10 times. To be or not to be, that is a question. To be or not to be, that is a question. So, and Scott's here, hey. So what you're doing is you are making a neurological pathway in your brain with these words. And that's really how we memorize. You have to make the neurons, you have to make a neuron path. So you do that, and then you're gonna go on to the next line, again, taking each word and letting it make sense to you, maybe having a little image or something that connects you emotionally, and then you're going to be, whether it is nobler in the mind. So you're gonna read those little initials right there, whether it is nobler in the mind, whether it is nobler in the mind 10 times till you get that one. And then you can say, if you can say the first two lines together, to be or not to be, that is a question, whether it is nobler in the mind, you can move on to the third one. Just keep doing that, joining, adding on. Also, if you look right down here, productivity501.com, how to memorize verbal text, this is a converter. It will take any text like this and it will convert it into the initials. It's really, really handy, especially if you're working on a big scene. All right. That's 2. Now we got 3. This is the one that works really well for me. This is a mnemonic device. So what we're going to do here is we're going to create images for each line of text, each image in it. We're going to make sort of like an image, a vision board of it, an image of it. So if our line is, good morning, I made you cookies, chocolate chip, we're going to, first of all, picture the good morning is like the sun coming up over the hills. And so we think of that in our mind, good morning. And then I made you some chocolate chip cookies. You can see yourself making cookies. I made you some cookies. And then maybe with the chocolate chip, you picture yourself holding out one of those huge Hershey Kisses chocolate chips. So good morning, I made some cookies. I made you some cookies, chocolate chip. All right, so with this one, I don't usually take the words first and let them make sense to me. I just create an image for them. And it's really fun with this because you can just create these little mind movies kind of, and if you want to, you can even make a Pinterest board for it if you want to be really creative and do some fun stuff. Put images that remind you of it. I'm going to join on with that with a mind palace. I'm just going to quickly go over mind palaces. We can talk about it more later because that's a big thing. Maybe you can look it up, mind palace. So when you build a mind palace, what you do is you take a building that you're really familiar with and you put stations in it, in each room, and then you attach an image to each station. And that helps you like move along in your monologue. Sometimes with me, with monologues or with scripts, whatever, I'll forget what's next. I know it, but I can't remember the order. And that really helps with order. So in fact, in my 5 pillars class, my assignment this week was to have them learn how to memorize a deck of cards. You memorize it and then you shuffle it, you memorize it, and you use a mind palace for that. So that's really cool. Maybe we'll talk about that on another Facebook Live. All right, my last one that I have for this, and I'm not saying these are the only 4 memorization techniques in the world, obviously, because there's a lot. But I will say it's really important for you to figure out what works for you with memorization. So this one is really cool. This is stop acting, and I completely stole this from somebody. Well, I think it's kind of a technique that everybody kind of knows about, but I have to credit Jo Kelly with this because I've been taking her class myself, and she talks about this. So what you do is you take your line, to be or not to be, that is a question. You just take it off the page, look at it, and look up and just say it. To be or not to be, that is a question. You go through all of your lines and you do that, getting it off the page. The second level of this is you look at the line and then you look up and you say how you're feeling in this moment, your impulse. So I'm feeling upset. To be or not to be, that is a question. So you say it how you feel it. You connect your current impulse to the line. And it may not make sense at all to the monologue, doesn't matter. So you go all the way through that. I feel mad, whether it is nobler in the mind. You're just getting those impulses out. It's really, really fun. The next way, the third way, is instead of saying how you feel, you just make a sound about how you feel. So you'd look down and get to be or not to be, then you'd look up and say, blah! And you say, to be or not to be! And you keep going on. So this is a really fun way to explore stuff. The fourth way is, I'm just saying, oh yes, this is so much fun. The fourth way is you collect the word from the page, to be or not to be, you look up, and then you do the monologue, you say it like you're drunk, like, to be or not to be, that was the question. Or like you're really stupid. To be or not to be, that is the question. Or like your chihuahua, to be or not to be, that is the question. Whatever, it doesn't matter. You're just exploring it. You go through doing that. And then at the end, you want to redo it with integrity. You're doing integrity, like to be or not to be. That is the question. You like do it with integrity. The last way is you just take your phrase and you just throw yourself around. So you'd be like, you pick it off the page, you look at it, to be or not to be, you look up, to be or not to be, that is the question. You just move around, just really get your body going. There you have it. There you have it. Woohoo, isn't it exciting? So yeah guys, those are 4 ways you can learn to memorize. And why am I talking about memorization? Because it's super, super, super freakishly important. And I don't think it's something that actors talk about very much. We just expected to memorize. I know in acting school, I went there for 4 years, they never once mentioned how to memorize. So I thought memorization was just this awful thing you had to like dig through and just figure out yourself, but it's not true. There's tons of techniques, and the really cool thing about memorization is that it is a skill, and any skill can be learned as long as you work at it. So if you work on memorization every day or a couple of times a week, you're going to notice it gets better and better, and then pretty soon you're going to have superpowers with memorization, and you're going to be Supergirl or Superman when you get a script, and you'll be like, boom, off book. I hear J-Lo's that way. Apparently Jennifer Lawrence can memorize anything really quickly, which could be one of the reasons that she's so good, because she's just so connected to herself and the words don't get in the way. Because we all know when we're off book, completely off book, things just come out of us that we never expected. You know what I'm talking about. All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for listening, for being here today, for watching the show. Next week, we're doing something really, really cool. Next week, we are going to be doing craft again. I know it's determination. David Pratt joined us. I know it's determination next week, but this also covers determination. But we're going to have a guest next week. We're going to have Linda Behrman, who is a voiceover expert. She's trained tons of people. She used to be my agent here in Salt Lake. She opened an agency when I'm at TMG. She and Vicki Panic opened it quite a few years ago. She was here 10 years, and then she moved on to just do voiceover coaching and that kind of stuff. She's really amazing. So if you want to know anything about voiceovers, she's going to be here. It's going to be one of a ongoing series, actually. I'm probably going to have her every like month and a half be on here, because she knows so much, and there's so much work in voiceover. It's crazy, crazy, crazy. And if you are training yourself to do it right, you can do it in your own home. Okay, so next week we're going to be kind of we're going to be talking about getting started in voiceover. And also she's going to be coming here May 18th to Salt Lake to give a voiceover workshop. So stay posted for that. All right, guys. Oh, Scott says, I'm going to go to Michael's and pick up supplies. Craft? It's not that kind of craft. We're not making popsicle kites, but you can if you want. You can if you want. Okay, guys, thank you. Let me know if you have any questions. Let's get back to our lovely music and be all fancy. Okay, here we go.